It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're live with Expresso. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is a Tuesday, the 14th of January. The year is up and running, almost halfway through the first month. It's all about now finding balance in our lives, especially setting the tone nice and early in the year, getting back into our normal routine. That includes going back to work. It can be, no, let's be honest, it is a challenge after a fun-filled holiday season. So striking the right balance between career and family and ourselves has been and continues to be a very difficult task for many around the world, not just here in South Africa, especially after a long break. And if you're feeling that this past holiday, you're now getting the blues, maybe struggling to find that work-life balance that works for you, our trusted multimedia health specialist, Dr. Darren Green, and psychologist Anna Donald are here to share some very helpful life hacks, we're going to call them.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, welcome. Happy New Year.
Thank you. It's good to see you guys. You're looking very relaxed, but I think for a lot of people, that's something that might be otherwise a bit difficult to find, that work-life balance. And we hear a lot about it, but what exactly is work-life balance?
How would you define it?
How would you define it?
Yeah, so, I mean, from my side, I think it's the ability to set things up in your life and to live a life that allows you to sustain meaningful relationships that sustain you and build you up, by which you learn so many lessons and grow as a person, but grow in all facets of your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, and intellectually as well. There are lots of other subcomponents, obviously, that we'll probably just dissect and look at as, in a bit as well, but setting things up in your life that facilitate that process. And it almost feels as if we're fighting so many distractions on a day-to-day basis to actually achieve that in our lives.
Yeah, and I was reflecting on this concept of work-life balance, and I started to question splitting those two, work and life, as if work is not part of life, as if we're not alive at work.
Yeah, I mean...
Of course we are,
Yes,
and it's not a case of
categories.
semantics, you know, actually our attitude makes a big difference. And so if we can start to invite work into life and start to look at it in a holistic sense, I think we could go a long way to start developing a way of being in all areas of our life that means that we bring our full presence, that means that we're able to make conscious choices about all of those areas that we talked about.
Mindfulness.
You said it. You said
And I
it.
say that's going to be my word for the year. It started to emerge last year, and I think that's for the roaring 20s. That's going to be a big drive. There is almost, I keep wanting to use the word distill because it feels like there are so many influences, there are so many kind of different elements impacting the way that can unbalance us or throw us out of balance. Why is it so difficult to achieve this perception of balance? I mean, you want to be happy at work. Why should you be unhappy at work and happy in life outside of work? Or, you know, we want to be balanced, we want to be happy, but it's one of life's great challenges. Why and how can it be so challenging?
I think we are living in a particularly pressurized world at the moment in our country and globally. I think people are feeling a huge amount of pressure in all areas of life. Yeah, I think we're also bombarded by a lot of information that adds to our sense of overwhelm. And I think that, I think we're also feeling very pressurized in our jobs to achieve. A lot of people are needing to do more for less or for not more money. You know, there's more and more pressure, and I think that's why people are feeling this the amount of overwhelm that they are. Anxiety and depression are on the rise. Those things are happening. And did you want to say something?
No.
Looks like you were about to. So then, and how, in terms of the how, I would say, learn this amazing skill of mindfulness, because when we are present, we are able to make conscious choices about how we're using our energy, how we're using our attention, so that we can be more discerning about how much information we let in, about how we're using, as I say, our precious time in the day.
I love it. You're often going to meet people who say, you know what, I've chosen to prioritize work over life or life over work.
I feel like you have to,
who don't see or don't seem to understand the benefits that can come from having a balance. What are some of the benefits that people can derive and enjoy from having that balance?
Yeah, I think, well, to actually plug into your full performance and your ability to actually reach your purpose in life, you firstly need to know what that purpose is, get to know and spend time with yourself to actually find out and have a realistic check-in with yourself to realize these are my good skill sets, my strengths, my weaknesses, these are my work-ons, for example, and how do I get to a place then when you do encounter situations and circumstances that give you an opportunity to work on certain negative or weak aspects of your life, you don't always see them in that negative light. You can say, this is an opportunity to grow. This is an opportunity to get better at a specific characteristic or quality. But one of the big things are that we always think getting that work-life balance right involves massive radical change in your life. I'm going to start going to the gym from next week.
Yeah, I'm going to magically make more
sometimes
money.
they just, make more money or put myself out in a different way.
Yeah.
But sometimes the smallest tweaks in your decision-making and prioritizing scales in your life can have maximum outcomes in terms of the reward and the emotional contentment that you actually experience. When a child says to a father, today was the best day of my life because you picked them up at school at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, once in a blue moon, and took him for a pizza.
Yeah.
And when dad reads that child a story at night, putting him into bed saying, I love you very much, have a good nap, have a good sleep. And the son says to you, this is the best day of my life. You haven't given them a PlayStation.
Yeah.
You haven't taken them to Disney World. You've just been present. You've had a meaningful connection with someone that means something to you, and that's someone that you can influence positively.
I'm starting to see what means a lot to you right now. I can see how your eyes lit up right there. We're talking about achieving a balance in life, not just about work and life. It's about everything, and we want to be happy throughout all of our I think, various activities, the way that we live our life, in finding that balance, that nuance in the balance of life. And part of that is finding physical health, whether you are strapped up with an elastic band or not.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Is a key. I'm telling you, that's going to be 2020's buzzword. How do we find that balance? So you've had a fantastic holiday, you've gone all introverted and found a Zen calm, and then you've got to come crashing back down to earth and go back into the real world, be it going back to work, going back to school, going back to just the pressures of daily life. What should you be saying to yourself? What pep talk should you be giving to yourself? Put me in the game, coach, put me in the game. What do you say to yourself to get yourself pumped up and get that focus, that mindfulness in place before you start the new facet, new phase of life?
I like the comment that Anna made earlier on regarding seeing them as two completely separate entities implies that you can't look for meaningful life at work. A lot of people absolutely enjoy and love their work and experience great joy, emotional satisfaction, intellectual stimulation through work, for example. And I think if we could be mindful of the opportunities that work often gives you as well to grow, I think that mindset of looking at it from a slightly different perspective might certainly help significantly, and not living in silos, because you can find joy even at any time of the day. Whether you're at work or at home, you can find joy and meaning.
Should be striving to find fulfillment.
To connect with. I think that's what you were implying.
Absolutely, Darren. And I think also to connect to what it is about your work that you love. So actually make that conscious. Go through, articulate for yourself why it is you do your work. What is it about your work that you love? Is it the people? Is it the job itself? Does it give you meaning? Is it the money that allows you to make choices and live freely? What is it that you... So to get really conscious about that, but also, as you say, beautiful, just use the moments of the day. Use work as an opportunity to connect to presence. Use the moments of the day to be, fully there. Yes.
And the one thing about work that you enjoy can't be the tea breaks and the lunch breaks, right? So it can't be the stuff that takes you away from work. Okay, so now a lot of people this week are heading back to work from the festive season. Was it so difficult to zone back into it? Is there such a thing as post-vacation anxiety? Is it a real thing?
Absolutely. I see it with parents that are standing at the front doors with their children, waiting to hand them over to the teachers. Thank you, Lord. I think one of
It's a long holiday, let's be honest, guys. It's over a month. Come on.
A lot of us have romanticized ideas of what it actually means to engage and spend intimate time with children at home. Your own children, not other people's children. And the energy that it takes out of you to be physically engaged, because they want to do activities, mentally demanding activities, physically demanding activities,
they need
and they have energy like you won't believe. So the issue, obviously, is that you obviously need some time to also do the things that you don't get around to doing during your hectic schedule. And the answer is not to only do that in the holiday. The answer is to prioritize things and maybe give more and expect less and set up boundaries in different places so that you actually can get that constant influx of positive things that you really, really enjoy in your own life. And that's important.
Anna, maybe can I throw this to you, because you've spoken a lot about being mindful at work and looking for those moments of fulfillment at work. How do we go about doing that? Do you have some tips?
Sure. So I think there's a whole day that you can use. Every moment is an opportunity to be mindful, but you can hang mindfulness on moments in the day to make it easier to remember. So waking up in the morning before you go to work, maybe if you sleep with your phone on airplane mode, take a minute. Somebody over there said, breathe for a minute. Just feel the sensations of your body. That's a beautiful way to start the day. You could stop in your car just before you go inside to work. Again, you could just put your phone down and just feel your body in the seat of the car and breathe. That's another beautiful place to invite mindfulness in. Sitting at your desk, you can sit down at your desk as you're turning on your laptop or your computer or whatever it is. Just feel your feet on the ground and settle into your body again. Maybe connect to your 5 senses and just take a moment, a pause. Doesn't need to be a long practice. It can just be little moments during the day. A cup of tea, a cup of coffee can be drunk mindfully. Everything is an opportunity.
I love that you mentioned that everything and everywhere can be an opportunity, because for a lot of people, they think mindfulness has to take you out of your normal environment into the forest somewhere, but that's not the case. I find after a long day, just sitting in the car before I get out to go into the house, 10 minutes of doing nothing in silence helps so much. This conversation continues. Work-life balance. It's a big one. It's something we need to be paying attention to in the year 2020. Make that a part of your resolution to be able to get into that balance. Let us know what your thoughts are on Expresso Morning Show. SABC3, Anna and Dr. Darren Green are still here.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to it. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso Live, right here on SABC3. It's a Tuesday, it's Health Tuesday, and we're taking a moment to reflect on our work-life balance in the year 2019 and looking at what new habits we need to be forming and getting into as we step into a brand new year with its own set of things that need to be done, things that need to be achieved, but still making sure that we're mindful as we approach all of these different things. And so Dr. Darren Green, who is, of course, a family member of ours over here and a new friend of ours, Anna Donald, who's a psychologist, joins us on the couch to unpack this very important conversation. So, guys, it's all about management.
Absolutely.
How do you affect good time management? What are some techniques, practical ways that we can employ?
It's funny how when people want to become effective, they declutter their lives. Before a big exam or test, you find people packing their wardrobes, getting their T-shirts in order. Everything gets neatened up. It could be avoidance behavior, but eventually people structure everything to get to the point. And structured environment often helps then with a structured mindset. So getting ordered and getting systems in. So practically a lot of the tips involve putting systems in place. And we're in an era where technology assists in a massive way for things like reminders, scheduling, programming, the apps that can help you structure your day, your month, even your vacation, your leave, your tax return time can even be logged in advance and how you do that. So those are really good help aids for you to actually achieve success in managing the administrative part of your day. The things that we struggle with are discipline, self-discipline around things like sleep, diet, exercise, and the preparation it takes to pack a lunchbox for work and not be left, wanting, so that you can source your energy fuels and so forth. Sleep, exactly the same thing. The discipline of exposing yourself to light and stimulating things before bedtime. So many different aspects can be looked at, and I think one of the big things for me is boundary setting. We often hold other people responsible when we do lose control and lose balance between
I think it's an influence, it's something else.
So you need to learn how to be assertive in setting boundaries and prioritize things and learn how to say no. And I think that's a big challenge for many of us.
And this is to everyone. No to your children, no to your partner, no to your employer. But let's talk about practice, Anna, the practice of work-life balance. Let's talk about to-do lists. Do people still compile those? Because
I think you can divide the world into two groups, those that have to-do lists and those that don't have lists.
Could to-do lists prove effective in managing your time, but also helping you find some sort of balance in your life and how you go about your day?
I think it's important to do what works for you. So if a to-do list works, do it. But it can often get people feeling overwhelmed because they make a list as long as your arm and they don't get to do half of those things. And then it's a rolling list that they never really feel that they complete.
Evolving.
Yeah, exactly. But I think what's really important is this decluttering that you spoke about. And I think internal decluttering is important as well. So I'm going to go back to this thing of talking about your internal space. Learn the practice of mindfulness. Learn how to manage your thoughts, your emotions skillfully. Learn how to work with technology skillfully so that you're not feeling bombarded internally. And that can really help bring a presence to the decisions you're making so that you know what you need to put on your to-do list. And maybe it's just 3 things, but you're making that decision really consciously because you have clarity internally.
Maybe have 3 lists. Have like practical lists, have deeper lists, have macro and micro lists. We've spoken about the responsibility of self in this process, but one person or entity that stands to benefit the most from having a motivated and mindful and driven workforce is the employer. How can employers help to motivate and help their employees achieve that balanced lifestyle, do you think?
Yes, I mean, I've looked at quite a few of them. Looking from a neuroscience perspective, in setting up, facilitating the schedule of the day, you're going to obviously touch on the issue of the 4-day working week and people being more productive when they have a 4-day working week.
Well, we've read it, we have read it, and
but actually the workspace and the decluttering, as I mentioned, areas that facilitate and promote a culture. We've got quiet rooms, for example, in the company, one of the companies that I work for, where you can go into a quiet space if you just want to get away from bright lights, noise. So the sensory stimulation to actually go and get you into a relaxed physiological space to make it easy for you to become a little bit more quiet and mindful are simple things. Walking meetings is another one. Getting out there, the benefits of actually having a walking meeting with some scenery around you and de-stressing and getting out of the office. Absolutely
Just picture my boss coming to me, let's take a walk, come.
where are we going?
Yeah, so I mean, there are some practical things. So the space can be facilitated, the scheduling of the day, and I think a lot of it's got to do with the company's vision in terms of appreciating employers reaching maximal performance as people, not just productivity in the workplace, but as people.
It is a cultural thing that needs to be integrated into these organizations.
That's what I was about to say, to be. So it's about creating that culture. And I think that what we've seen in my work with Mindful Revolution is that when leaders of companies do our courses and start to behave mindfully and they set the tone and they invite other people, obviously they send their employees on the courses as well, and then you see real change happening.
I think the key thing is to note that you can change. Things can change as much as we feel like we're a slave to the patterns in our life. A new year is that. I know we're trying to achieve a balance and have this throughout all facets of life, but there is an opportunity and a fresh start to a new year to make those changes. So embrace that opportunity and become a bit more mindful in everything that you're doing, not just at work. Maybe being more effective at work will give you the opportunity to be more effective at home and vice versa. Use this opportunity that this fresh new, the roaring 20s is affording us right now.